You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. Very, very big game this weekend, and it's a big game for a lot of reasons. Not only are the Las Vegas Raiders holding on to some kind of playoff hope, okay, there'd have to be a lot of things happen for them to slip in, but there's still a path to 9-8 if they were to win out. But it's a very big weekend. It's a game against the Chiefs. It's a rival. We all just saw and witnessed 63 points being dropped. And I think the question is, have the Raiders figured something out on offense? Did they make some kind of change that has turned everybody into playmakers all of a sudden? We know a lot of that had to do with defense. Can the defense keep taking the ball away, etc., creating shorter fields for Aiden O'Connell, the rookie, who was, by the way, the FedEx Offensive Player of the Week in the AFC. He should have been. 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. And then it's important for other reasons. Most notably and maybe most importantly for a lot of you Raiders fans that are pulling for Antonio Pierce, or even the players that are pulling for Antonio Pierce to get that job, if he wins this game, it will go a very long way towards him being named the actual permanent head coach, and Mark Davis not doing what he did, involving, of course, Rich Bisaccia and the players all wanting him, instead of what became Josh McDaniels and what became an even bigger train wreck than even the Raiders had seen in a very long time. Now, before we jump into the Chiefs thing, we're going to talk about something else that is very important because it's getting close. It's getting close. I mean, NFL insiders are now saying that it's likely that the Raiders have already made a decision on GM Champ Kelly. All right, Mark Davis is, I think, leaning very heavily towards giving him that job. But Tom Brady may be in the mix here, and you may be like, wait, what? I believe Tom Brady is in the mix, and he is in the mix for a new position that I think, in part, Tom Brady already has. Okay? And we know he's been trying to buy a minority ownership stake in the Raiders. Well, Mark Davis may have something else in mind as well. A position that is being labeled, quote, great football mind. Okay? More of like a football czar, if you will. And I'm not going to kid you. If I was going to have that position and I was good and was tight with Tom Brady, that's probably who I'd want to give it to as well. Again, it's going to be fascinating one day to find out how much say he had, or did he green light? Did he order the code red on Josh McDaniels, considering their relationship and history? I think that's going to be so interesting. So this is Raiders Beat, but this was by way of The Athletic. All right. Quote, a missing piece to the puzzle, so to speak, is a solid football mind that isn't a GM or head coach. Mark Davis is considering green lighting or relighting that same kind of position. That's a missing piece, so to speak, is a solid football mind that isn't a GM or head coach. And I think that's a piece that's probably going to be necessary down the line, is bringing in somebody that understands football that's above the day-to-day work. That makes you wonder, is the guy going to be actually a liaison between Mark Davis and the GM? Is that how that's going to work? Is he going to have more power than the GM? This actually could also get messy. Normally, a GM is hired to be a, quote, great football mind of a organization, but Davis seems to have a different twist in the mind for the Raiders going forward. If interim GM Champ Kelly is ultimately hired, it sounds like an additional football mind could be part of the Raiders' power structure sooner than later. Davis was asked about when he realized there might be a need for this new position, and he pointed to his first experience with a rookie GM. Quote, "It's something that I learned over time, but it is something that I recognized immediately as well. I mean, if you think about it, when my dad passed away, there wasn't a general manager on the team, so to speak. And the first person I hired was Reggie McKenzie as GM to put somebody that's had 17 years of experience in player personnel in charge of that. Now, he was a rookie GM, but he had the experience for many, many years in an organization, the Packers. That was very good at player personnel. So I knew to get that. I think Reggie and I, where the issue with the situation was with Reggie, hired a rookie head coach, Dennis Allen. So I had a rookie GM and a rookie head coach. We didn't have a great football mind in the building, and that's something I've learned throughout the process." My God, if McKenzie had 17 years as player personnel, you would think that would be plenty of experience. But it's clear, and people have talked about the fact that Jim Gray is a guy that Mark Davis trusts a lot and tends to run a lot of decisions by. And, of course, Tom Brady is the other guy that we know he already does business with, already has a relationship with, and, well, he's the greatest football player of all time. So there's that, too. And you just have to think. That kind of feels like where we're going, right? So we got the football czar, and that's what I'm calling it now, the Raiders football czar, that Mark Davis may end up hiring along with Champ Kelly. Likely a decision has been made. And now you've got Antonio Pierce. And this is a big deal. This is a big game. All right? The Raiders, this is SI. Raiders entered this season with a revamped defense and an offense expected to be one of the best in the NFL. 8 games into the season, the Raiders look like a shell of that team that made the playoffs 2 years ago. New faces at essential positions, such as offensive line and quarterback, among others, led to a team that looked lifeless in Coach Josh McDaniels' last game at the helm. McDaniels was fired because of issues on the field and locker room issues caused by those on-field problems. Now, losses are inevitable in the NFL, and every coach experiences them, even Pierce in the short time at the helm. What Pierce has done, however, is completely changed the mood in the locker room and connect with players in a way that few coaches can, even if they are more experienced than Pierce. Although Pierce would be the first to acknowledge professional football is a production business, his effect on the Raiders have gone beyond wins and losses. Quote, "I know some of the results haven't been the way we wanted in the second half, but I think our purpose has been here," Pierce said. "In the last 2 weeks, I really put more of an effort and energy of myself in what I deliver and what our coordinators are delivering to our players in the message. And again, you see different things that we do at halftime to get going again, to get our juices flowing, and it's working. We feel good about it. I feel good about it." Now, to the Chiefs. As they hit the road for the Chiefs on Christmas Day, Pierce is searching for a complete game of football. Quote, "The message is clear, man. We get paid to play for 60 minutes. GD, the first 30 needs to be like the last 30, regardless of the outcome. And as long as we do that, we want to look like, man." I assume that's what we want it to look like, man. They got a serious typo here. "Like the love of the game, we want to be excited because we're only guaranteed 3 more games. And then we're going to have a long golf season, or guess what? We might get a ticket to the dance. And we want to hopefully have a chance to play in the dance." So there's many questions. Pierce's chances of being named head coach would significantly improve if they could beat the Chiefs. So I think it's a huge game. I think it's a huge game for Antonio Pierce. Honestly, I got this true feeling that if they were to go in there and sneak a victory or against the Chiefs, I think he gets that job ultimately. I think Mark Davis is going to sit back and be like, look, division rival, arguably, the Ravens, Chiefs in that mix as best team in all of the conference. And he would end up giving that job to Antonio Pierce. Now, I don't think it's like the old days where the owner can walk in and hold up the ball and like, he's your new head coach. I know Jed York did that with Mike Singletary, if I remember correctly, after a victory. I think that's how he got the job. I don't think they can do that with the Rooney Rule in place. And I understand Antonio Pierce is black anyway, so you sort of, it's a ridiculous rule no matter what, but the point is it would check the box. I still think the best idea here, no matter what, and I like Antonio Pierce a lot, and I think he may be the guy, but I think you have to still go through a full interview process. Get some other guys in there, talk to some ex-big-time head coaches. That's my only thing in the mix. Talk to some ex-big-time head coaches before you make that decision. You got to beat the Chiefs if you want to make the playoffs. If you don't win out, none of it matters. None of it. Tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. Big Christmas day for the Raiders. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.